I'm Rolene Marks. This is the Israel Brief, and we are brought to you courtesy of Lay of the Land. And we bring you those top stories making headlines, and we do it every Monday to Thursday. So let's dive right in. We do have quite a bit to discuss, and Israeli pilots have told Defense Minister Yoav Gallant that they will not fly sorties if Israel does not remain democratic. Now, pilots were meeting with the defense minister and discussing concerns around the proposed judicial overhaul. The pilots said that should these judicial overhauls go through in their current draft, they are vulnerable to international tribunals. Meanwhile, last night, Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu and Defense Minister Yoav Gallant released a joint statement supporting the IDF chief and the IDF. This comes in the face of continued attacks from members of the coalition government. The two rejected any criticisms and said they firmly stand behind Israel's armed forces. Earlier yesterday, President Herzog also condemned any attacks against the IDF coming from members of the coalition. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Netanyahu's son Yair Netanyahu posted a comment to social media just several days ago saying that the IDF chief Herzi Halevi was the worst chief in Israel's history. And today, Likud Minister Tali Gottlieb doubled down on her attacks against the IDF chief and admonished the Prime Minister for apologizing and for standing behind him. The IDF also presented to the Knesset the situation of the IDF's readiness for battle should it come to that. And we don't have the details of what I would imagine is a highly confidential report. Meanwhile, last night, continuing into today, the IDF, the IAF, the Mossad, the Shabak and the police chiefs reiterated that should Israel come to a constitutional crisis, they would support the High Court. They would listen to the rulings, or they would follow the rulings of Israel's High Court. This led to clashes between Police Chief Kobi Shabtai and National Security Minister, the far-right Itamar Ben-Gvir. Kobi Shabtai said that the police would follow the law, and Itamar Ben-Gvir, the National Security Minister, said it is the government that makes decisions. Yesterday, quite an extraordinary story broke just after we concluded our broadcast. It was reported in the Israeli media as well as the ultra-Orthodox publication Kikar HaShabbat that ultra-Orthodox members of the coalition had told the Prime Minister that they cannot support the judicial reforms. They said that they are concerned about the effects that it is having on Israeli society, and they are concerned that the opposition hasn't been able to make their case. They say they support a broad-based consensus. It is believed that Haredi factions are pushing to have a law which exempts ultra-Orthodox men from serving in the IDF. The ultra-Orthodox also expressed their concerns at what they call the conduct of Prime Minister Netanyahu, saying that he is criticizing them for alleged discrimination against women on buses as a way to deflect from the judicial overhauls and the impact that it is having on Israeli society and the pushback. It is absolutely right that the Prime Minister is condemning attacks or discrimination on women on buses. A story also broke following that Prime Minister Netanyahu and Justice Minister Yariv Levin were in discussions about how to freeze the judicial overhauls and that they would need the final approval of President Herzog. Shortly after that, a representative from Likud and from United Torah Judaism spoke to the media saying that no such deal was underway and that both the overhauls and the exemption law will pass. And we haven't heard many developments, or any developments rather, over that during the course of today. Israel's Foreign Minister Eli Cohen is visiting Paraguay. He was there for the inauguration of President Santiago Peña. He also met with the president and invited him to Jerusalem. It is expected that President Peña will reopen the Paraguayan embassy in Israel, this time in our capital, Jerusalem. And it is expected that Israel will reopen our embassy in the capital, Asuncion, also within the next year. Both embassies had been closed due to a previous rift. And finally, Israeli women are expected to take to the streets of Bnei Brak in protest on the 24th of August. This is in protest to what many see as growing discrimination against Israeli women. There have been notable incidents on buses recently where Israeli women have been told they are either dressed inappropriately or that the buses were only for men. Women organizers have also said that the decline of female representation in the current government is also cause for concern, and it is expected that various women's organizations will join in for this march. And just to reiterate, Prime Minister Netanyahu has condemned any discrimination against women. And those are top stories making headlines today. Don't forget to check out our website at www.layoftheland.online, our Facebook community at Lottel's site, our YouTube channel at The Israel Brief, and our Twitter page at Lay of the Land 5. I'm Raylene Marks. It is sweltering. My brain is melting. I'm sure yours is too, with the amount of news coming in from Israel. But nevertheless, have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll speak to you tomorrow.